If you're watching this video, your feet could be holding you back from living a healthy life and feeling good about yourself. If you have toenails, this video is for you, so let's continue on. So cutting your toenails is super important, especially if you don't want to come into a situation where you have ingrown toenails, impacted toenails, painful toenails. All these things can be resolved by cutting your toenails properly. And you're probably like, Cheyenne, I know how to cut my toenails properly. Just cut them straight across, right? Yeah. But from the work that I do, from what I see from people, I know that sometimes you are not cutting your toenails properly, and this can lead to a cycle of pain, which is not great. It's not great for you. It's not great for your toes. Maybe you're embarrassed by your feet. Maybe you're hiding your feet because you have a toenail issue that you don't want other people to see. You want to keep your toes contained, hidden, never see the light of day, and this is also unhealthy. In this video, we're going to talk about that and why it's unhealthy and why it's important to take care of them. This is the toenail video. We're talking about toenails. So toenail technique. Cutting your toenails. We do want to cut most toenails straight across. There are two types of toenails. I'm talking about healthy toenails, not toenails with an issue that you may have. Most likely you'll have the first type of toenail. The first type of toenail is the kind that you will cut straight across. The second kind is a special type of toenail that you don't see very often, but it's okay not to cut it straight across because the hyponychium, which is the skin that connects the toenail underneath the nail, grows out longer than the actual toe itself. So if you were to cut it straight across, you'd have quite a bit of nail on both sides of the toe, which means you could have more issues like impacted toenails, debris, sock fluff, bacteria, dead skin, kind of going underneath that area and creating not such a nice environment for your feet. And why do you want to watch a video about toenails? Because there's not really a lot of training or education around our feet. Often people find them polarizing. This video is for foot education for regular folks like you, and I am a wellness pedicure professional and I really like helping people with their feet, so that's why I'm making this video. It can help you save time and money and also save you from a life of pain and a continuous cycle of possibly hurting your toenails and creating an unhealthy environment for them. And if I could do that for you, then I feel like I've done a really good job. So number one, ingrown toenails. One of the causes to ingrown toenails is not cutting your toenails properly. A lot of times I see folks who have ingrown toenails who are cutting their toenails so short, there's absolutely no free edge. When your toenail's growing out, there's the side channels here, the side walls, and it's growing out a little bit, and as soon as you feel pain, you either rip it off, cut it really short, try to dig it out, and it continues the cycle. Although it's important to have pain relief, the short momentary pain relief that you get from doing these types of things is only causing more problems for your health and a harder future for yourself. So if you're watching this and you have ingrown toenails, I would like to say it's very important for you to start to learn how to manage those and to prevent them from happening, so then you don't have to continuously go through that type of cycle. And we will discuss this later in the video, how we can do that. So impacted toenails. Impacted toenails are when your toenails get a lot of debris, they get a lot of buildup, sock fluff, all sorts of things underneath, possibly just from being forgetful, from maybe feeling a little bit scared or intimidated by your nails, or just not wanting to deal with them because the problem has just exacerbated into something quite big. That's going to put a lot of pressure on your toenail. That's going to make it feel like you have an ingrown toenail, when in reality, it's actually just an impacted toenail. And we are also going to discuss how we can prevent and treat those in this video. Triangle nails. Triangle nails is just something that I call what people come in with when they decide they're going to manage their pain by cutting their toenails into a triangle. It just kind of, again, makes the problem worse until the toenail actually grows out, and then they cut it into a triangle again, and it just overall is not beneficial for your nails. And then if you have really thick toenails, maybe you're trying to use a pair of nail clippers, which are different than toenail clippers, and you break them, or they cut jagged, or they just don't cut right. Something's wrong, you know? It's not working. So you could let those grow out and they can't even fit into your shoe, which could be a huge problem for you in the future. And then some folks have really fragile toenails that are super thin and they cut into the sides of their feet and they cause a lot of pain. And again, they don't know what time they should be cutting their nails because there are specific times for specific types of toenails. And those toenails also can be really hard for people to manage. So overall, toenails can be a confusing subject, but they don't have to be. They can be really simple and easy for you to maintain, so long as you're using the proper tools, that you're preventing issues, and that you are being persistent with your hygiene and your toenail cutting, and you're being protective by incorporating methods to manage the pain and to manage your feet overall, then things can look a lot better for you than what they are right now. Because imagine this: pain-free toenails, not worrying, not feeling troubled by if you should even look at your feet, not forgetting about your feet, not having to deal with your feet later on in life, which can cost a lot more money than what you could be doing right now. Just being able to take care of the issue, wearing sandals and not feeling ashamed, not hiding your feet from your partner, stuff like that. It's not impossible. I help people all the time with these issues, and like I said, I'm here to help. Okay, so ingrown toenails. Ingrown toenails can happen because of genetics. Maybe you have a predisposition to having ingrown toenails. This can be a troubling issue because more often than not, you're managing the pain by cutting them improperly, or you're also wearing improper shoes. Ingrown toenails can happen from that as well. Like if your toenails are the type that curl quite strongly and there's no hydration or care being put into place by taking care of those toenails, and you have a genetic predisposition to that, then you can have ingrown toenails, right? So the most important thing is that we look at what we're doing and that we're able to sort of manage the issue with hydration and cleansing, and using the proper toenail clippers and cutting them to about 0.5 millimeters length, straight across in most cases. Again, if you have the other type of toenail, which I'll put a little picture here, and I described earlier, you can cut your toenails differently, but in the case of an ingrown toenail, we do want to make sure that we have more of a free edge, so then there is an adequate amount of sidewall for the toenail to grow into, and that the toenail isn't going to grow into the channel and be disruptive to you and cause a trigger that you try to dig out or hurt yourself with. That's very important. When you cut your toenails too short, it can lead to a lot of excessive pain. When you rip your toenails off, then your toenail is a very uneven surface. There's going to be parts that are jagged, there's going to be parts that are thin and thick, and that's kind of like putting a serrated blade into your foot. That's definitely not something that you want to do ever. So that's definitely a takeaway, is if you have ingrown toenails or just toenails you don't really want to deal with and you're ripping them, just stop ripping them, use the clippers, it's okay. For impacted toenails and for all toenails, one of the most important things is to make sure that you're maintaining hydration and exfoliation of the tops of your nail plates. When your feet are in shoes all day, they can get sweaty and your skin naturally is turning over, shedding. Skin can get caught underneath the toenail itself, and the debris from your socks can get underneath there. Over time, the accumulation of this, let's say a month or 2 months or a year, this can cause an impact of all those different things underneath and around your toenail, which feels so painful and has so much pressure that you don't know what to do, and you just kind of continue the cycle, or you use improper methods for cutting your nails or getting the debris out with dirty tools. That kind of thing just kind of leads you into a cycle of pain, which is not good at all. The most important thing is to maintain the hydration and to maintain hygiene. One of the best methods that you can do, and you can do right away, is after every shower, put down a foot towel and use one of your feet to sort of exfoliate the tops of your nails each time that you are out of the shower. You can also take a seat and do this sitting down and bend over if you can reach your feet. But I like to suggest for folks to use their feet as tools while they're working on their feet, especially if they don't like them, because there's nothing worse than having sort of a barrier to care, because, you know, a barrier to care can sometimes be that you don't want to touch your feet. Well, if you don't want to touch them, start touching them with your other foot and use your other foot as a hand. You can use this for moisturizer as well. Just sort of drop it on the top to moisturize. And the reason why we want to moisturize our feet and oil our nails is because the bottoms of our feet have no oil glands. They do not produce oil, they produce sweat only. And this means that we have to be accountable for them and to maintain the flexibility and hydration of our nails. So then we don't run into these issues as often. Triangle nails, what am I gonna say? You gotta start cutting your nails straight across. And when you're cutting your toenails, cut bit by bit. Use straight across toenail clippers or the professional nipper type, and just bit by bit by bit by bit. If you need help cutting your toenails, seeing a wellness pedicure provider, somebody who is an expert in pedicures, they can help you with your toenails. A podiatrist can also help. Anybody like that that knows what they're doing about toenails can truly help. And if you don't know too much about your pedicure service provider, just be careful, because sometimes the chairs can be sort of a breeding ground for bacteria and fungi and viruses. So avoid those places if you are uncomfortable to ask questions about the hygiene practices of them, or if you just don't feel comfortable asking, or something like that, you know? So improperly fitting shoes. And if you're young, maybe in 10 or 15 years, you'll watch this video and you'll be like, okay, it's time. But if you're like me and you're close to your 40s or you're over 40, you know that proper footwear is very important, not only for pain management, but it's also important for your toenails. Having adequate room in the toe box area, that's where your toes go, to have the proper splay of your feet, and so there's no pressure surrounding the toes and the toenails, will help you avoid ingrown toenails. It can also help with impacted toenails because there's less friction, and overall it's just much better for your feet. It's better for callus management, and it's just something that you should take in consideration. I can go over that in another video. If you guys think that's important, let me know. If you have ingrown toenails and you have a nail infection, definitely go see a medical service provider. You can also use certain methods to reduce inflammation, like saltwater soak. Do that until you see that there's less irritation in your feet before you cut your toenails. Always make sure that your toenail tools are properly disinfected, especially if you're dealing with any sort of red or irritated area. If you're managing fungal nails at home, you're definitely going to want to make sure that you're always disinfecting your tools in between use and in between a fungal nail and a regular nail, because you don't want to spread those types of things to your other toenails. It's very important to have hygienic practices around this. So what did we go over today, guys? If we have ingrown toenails, we want to grow those toenails back into the channels of our nails if they are cut too short. We want to avoid ripping our toenails, because ripping our toenails can lead to further issues and the continuation of the problem. And we want to make sure that we have proper footwear. We want to make sure that we're hydrating our toenails, the soles of our feet overall. When we have impacted toenails, which can feel like an ingrown toenail, we want to make sure we're exfoliating the tops of our toenails. Actually, for all toenails, we want to be able to do that. We know that we can use our feet as a tool instead of our hands if we want to avoid touching our feet or if we can't reach our feet. We want to make sure we're wearing the right shoes. Finding the right shoes can be a little bit tricky sometimes. Overall, if you have wider feet, look for wide toe box shoes. I know that Amazon has really good pairs of shoes that you can start with, and then maybe you can go to a shoe specialist in your area If we are getting pedicures by other people because we can't reach our toenails, we can't clip our toenails, then we want to make sure that we are asking the right questions, how they disinfect their pedicure chairs, what kind of training they have. And it's okay to ask those things, even if it's uncomfortable, because overall, the most important thing is that you are staying healthy with your feet, that your feet are healthy, because things like fungal nails can take more than a year to clear up sometimes. And it's not like a be-all, end-all problem. If you're persistent with your care, you can manage those and you can have healthy grow out again of your nails, but you need to make sure that you're very persistent and you're preventing and protecting your toenails from having further issues if you have those issues. If we have thick toenails, we want to make sure that maybe we're using a pair of clippers that are designed for thicker toenails. Professional toenail clippers are really good for folks who have thick nails. And if you have very thin toenails, you're going to want to cut your toenails when they're dry. You want to cut your toenails when they're dry because when you have thinner toenails, water can get into your nail because they're quite porous, and then it can be easier to cut them jagged or sort of cut them in a way we don't want them to be cut, and this can lead to further issues when we are trying to manage pain or not get ingrowns or to not have flaking nails, because sometimes our nails can flake too. When you're cutting your toenails straight across, there always tends to be sort of like a rough side edge. So if you can get a buffer in there, or maybe a nail file or an ingrown toenail file, which is what I like to suggest, and just lightly file the edge, the outer corners of your nails. Don't dig in there with the tool because that's just going to lead to further problems. Just gently round the corner, not round it fully, but keep it straight. And then over here, if this was a toenail, we'd go in and use the tool to gently file the edge of your toenail so it doesn't dig into your skin and it causes less problems. This is especially important if you have ingrown toenails because you're trying to grow that toenail into the sidewall again. And to be able to do that, you don't want any nail debris, you don't want any jagged edges growing into your toe. And using a product that reduces inflammation and that is antibacterial, something like a toenail tincture from Footlogix, this can be really helpful in those situations. That's also a great antifungal if you're dealing with toenail discoloration or a persistent issue. I really like this brand. I'm not sponsored by them, but I have used them for many years and it's an easy product to recommend to clients. And if you need further help with finding the right tools, using the right methods, I do have an email list down in the description box of this video. And I do have a little list of foot care tools and products that I recommend to clients in a page underneath this video. So I hope that this is helpful for you guys. I've just started this foot care channel because I'd like to specifically address foot care for people as opposed to another channel that I have that's kind of just everything, you know? So let me know if you like this video, and if you'd like to see more, I will talk to you guys soon, and I hope that you have a good day and that this has been helpful for you.